Okay, honestly, this is going to be a bit of a half answer because I would say roadside sales. Reason why it's a half answer is because I did try this. And then I tried it for 6 months back in Singapore where I was born, and I actually quit. So I tried for 3 months. I sucked at it. I call this, let me see if I can remember my own framework. I call this the 100-hour rule on how you can learn a skill go from zero at learning a skill to pretty good at in 100 hours. I know people like, I think Alex Hormozy says 10,000 hours to master it. Sure, I get that, but I think you need just 100 hours to be better than 90% at it. And honestly, when you want to sell something, that's all you need. 80/20 rule works great here. Like 80% of your content is normal, proven, quote unquote content. I guess playing along more with the lottery ticket analogy, you get your salary for the month. You can't just blow it all on lottery tickets. Sure, you might win big, but there's a high chance you might not. And hey, while that is impressive, I do feel like people are getting a tiny bit numb to that. Like, when was the last time you said, oh, I hit 10K a month, and you're just like, okay, another one. Like, who cares at this point? People are shifting more towards from spectacle to story. People want to connect with people. I would say yes. Reason for that is because everyone has a voice, or everyone should have a voice. Everyone should have the ability to speak their mind. And if you don't have a personal brand, you can't defend yourself. You can't like talk about other people. Okay, wait, no, I don't mean talk about other people like that.
Ben, what is one business model you wish you've tried before your current one?
Okay, honestly, this is going to be a bit of a half answer because I would say roadside sales. Reason why it's a half answer is because I did try this. And then I tried it for 6 months back in Singapore where I was born, and I actually quit. So I tried for 3 months. I sucked at it, and I was like, you know what? Screw this. Who wants to do this anyway? It was fully commission based also, so I was earning like very little because, like I mentioned, I wasn't very good at it. So I quit. But reason why I chose this is because looking back, being able to pick up the skill of roadside sales, as in like rapport building, as in learning how to talk back and forth with people, learning how to answer objections, learning how to dig into the pains and dreams would have helped me out a lot. I mean, I've picked up these skills along the way, but if I knew this coming into X, this would have saved me a lot of time, a lot of rejection, and honestly made me like a good amount of more money because I would have a far higher close rate.
That's interesting. Can you maybe explain a little bit more what this is and how it would benefit your X journey?
Well, the thing about roadside sales is that basically you have a product or a service and you just go up to people and say, "Hey, do you want this?" You don't know them, they don't know you, you don't know what they're selling, you don't know what position they're in. So it's basically, imagine cold calling. You know how everyone is like, "Oh my gosh, cold calling is scary. I don't want to do cold calling." Imagine cold walking up to someone and talking to them. They can see your eyes darting around, they can see your legs shaking, they can see you like, "Hi sir, do you want the thing?" And it forces you to learn to be confident, forces you to know your way around, forces you to be an authority or fake being an authority. It forces you to be more street smart. And yeah, that's roadside sales as a whole.
Amazing. So you said that you learned a lot of skills along the way. How did your business journey look like from the beginning? I think you started at 17 until now.
Well, so my parents have always been into like business and making money online or side hustles. So this is actually even before 17. So I grew up in a household where my parents are always like, okay, like reading some like new book on how to make money or like cash flow quadrant, Think and Grow Rich, like Rich Dad Poor Dad, like Psycho Cybernetics. A lot of these, like I have so many books at the top of my mind, like from Bob Proctor, T. Harv Eker, Tony Robbins. I've seen Tony Robbins, went to his seminars. A lot of these books are like self-improvement before the current self-improvement. So with my parents' influence, I slowly started picking these up also, and I started trying out different business models. Funny enough, my first accidental business. So I used to play this game called Brawl Stars by Supercell, the same developer that made Clash Royale. And I got it pre-beta, pre-launch. So I started earliest and I loved it. So I was the best at it out of all my friends. And Brawl Stars started to blow up. So my friends were like, hey, I'll give you a couple bucks, log into my account, push trophies. So that was my first business, technically. And then after that, I moved on to car wash, where this was around time where COVID hit, where I would just wake up early around 4 o'clock and then go wash my neighbor's cars. This one was where I actually like cold knocking, it's like cold calling, but once again, even worse. And this taught me a bit more about how to talk to people, how to pitch, how to like look them in the eye and be human. And then after that, I've tried a bunch of other sales, tried a bunch of other business models and side hustles, even before they were online. I remember there was this one thing called Google Pay. So it's like Apple Pay, but Google. And then they were running this campaign where where if you refer someone to Google Pay using a link, you both earn $10. So me and a friend, we print out QR codes and we went around malls saying like, hey, can you sign up using my link? You earn $10. I remember we went for 2 whole hours in one of the biggest malls in Singapore and we made nothing. Because if you think about it, like a 17-year-old comes up to you and says, hey, give me your card details. You make $10. That's so scammy. I completely empathize with whoever didn't do anything. I mean, whoever didn't listen to us. Eventually, I found Iman Gachi, Hamza. This was around COVID. So I started trying out. I think I made an Amazon a drop shipping, like Shopify account for like 2 weeks and I canceled the thing. I tried print on demand. I tried like Amazon FBA, all like the little random side hustles. And eventually I thought, hey, you know what? I'm a big gamer. You know, I love Minecraft. I love Brawl Stars. Let's make a Minecraft YouTube channel. So that's what I did. I poured the next 3 years of my life into a Minecraft YouTube channel. Looking back, I don't even know if this was considered business because I did it only because I liked Minecraft and I liked editing. I liked making videos. So I did it to like tell myself I was working. The video still gets like 50,000 views every single month now. Not monetized though. Those are YouTube shorts. Eventually, I found X, November 2023. I think we'll go a bit deeper into this later on, but yeah, that's how we're here.
Yes, that would be my next question. So, how did the breakthrough happen and why did it happen?
It honestly, my start on X, my success on X happened, you could technically say it was luck. So here's how it started. November 2023, I hop onto X, I see Danco, I buy 2 Hour Writer. I'm like, okay, let's spam platitudes. Or pain equals pleasure. Pain now equals pleasure later. Pleasure now equals pain later. You can have success, you can have money, but if you don't have friends, it's worthless. You know, basic ass platitudes. And then those got me a couple hundred followers, but I was spam engaging like crazy. I was burning out and spending like 3 hours just like writing, spamming comments, all this stuff. And then it came about February, Valentine's Day. So around this time, let me just explain what the X environment was like. Everyone was just posting platitudes, question tweets, things like this, authority posts. No one really posted like stories, but I thought, hey, it's Valentine's Day. It's going to be funny. Like my goal was like, let's do it because it's funny, nothing else. I made a post. I was out with my friends. I posted it, came back next day. I was up 100 followers. So that was big back then because like 100 followers, you know, like added like 20% of followers to my account. And then I had a bunch of DMs saying like, dude, this is the best story I've read. Can you teach me how to do this? So I started writing more stories. And people liked it. People like writing stories. People asked me to teach them stories. I taught them stories and they started blowing up. So I thought, okay, what if I teach this? So I put out a giveaway and sold out all spots. I even had enough to cover the next round, like a wait list. And after a while, I was like, dang, okay, I can actually make money online. I might as well just start expanding out because at this point I had grown on YouTube. I even had a bit of like, I dabbled a bit with Instagram, with TikTok. So I kind of knew the general social media principles. I thought, hey, okay, let's just put out a general brand growth offer. And then that worked. And then eventually I added a bit more monetization into it. And yeah, long story short, that leads us to now, purely by accident.
Interesting story. And you said that you teach a lot of lessons throughout the way. So, could you tell me like 3 main lessons you learned along your whole journey and then 3 lessons just purely on X?
I might mix these up a bit. Is it cool if I just riff
Okay.
off random lessons? They might be
Yes.
X related, they might not. Okay, so this one I actually learned from, gosh, what a great start. I learned this from the Minecraft YouTuber Dream. So, okay, I mean, now it's basic advice on X, quote unquote, but he said in order to blow up on social media, you just need to like be good at something and show it better than everyone else. I don't know if you watch Minecraft. For Dream, that was Manhunts. So I thought, okay, let's be the guy who teaches storytelling on this small X bubble that we have. Okay, if I just get really good at it, then people know me for that. And hey, I'd say it kind of worked. Lesson 2 would be you need to be different. You see, the reason why most people don't do well on X is because they're just like everyone else. And yes, of course, it's okay to take inspiration. It's okay to follow other people. It's okay to copy what works at first. But at the end of the day, there can only be one of that person. There can only be one Danco. There can only be one Mr. Beast. There can only be one Ben Chan. So and so, you know. It's okay to copy someone, but once you get the principles, expand out. Find out what works. Just experiment with random things. And eventually you find something, for example, crazy random love stories that blow up. And then that's your ticket into becoming your own person. That's when Danco says you are the niche. This is where I believe that happens. Third thing, oh my gosh, you really just got to work like really hard. I'm not saying you can't do this I'm not saying you can't do this if you have a family or if you have a job or if you only have 1-2 hours a day. I've had friends Mad respect to them who have succeeded, grown a business in 1-2 hours a day. But you really need to want this. There's no way you can play games and then like play guitar and go out clubbing every day and still be able to make a business succeed online. You can, sure, but the way I see it, like time scales exponentially. If you put 1 hour a day in, you're only able to get done maybe like 20%, 30% of the work as if you put 2 hours a day in. And yeah, it just keeps scaling from there. So obviously, if you have a job, if you have kids, and you can't put like 12 hours a day in, don't do that. I'm not saying quit your job for this, but just have your mind on it all the time. Think of different ways you can experiment. Think of different things you can do. Think of different posts you can post, ideas you can do for business, different ways to DM, different ways to reach out, so and so. Because I mean, whatever you sow, you shall reap. If you put in a lot of time, you shall reap the benefit of putting in a lot of time. See, is there?
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
so from that, I heard that experimenting is one of the key areas, and we will, of course, talk about it later on. But first of all, I want to go through the lessons once again in detail, because the first one is very interesting because you kind of took an advice from a Minecraft YouTuber and turned that into a business lesson. So being good at something and selling it. So how can I be good at something? You said storytelling was your thing, but let's just say I want to be an expert in teaching neuroscience. How would you say is the process?
In this scenario, do you already know the basics or not at all?
Let's just say it's an interest of me and I'm doing it in my free time.
Okay. So first thing I do is study the theory. I call this, let me see if I can remember my own framework. I call this the 100-hour rule on how you can learn a skill go from zero at learning a skill to pretty good in 100 hours. I know people like, I think Alex Hormozy says 10,000 hours to master it. Sure, I get that, but I think you need just 100 hours to be better than 90% at it. And honestly, when you want to sell something, that's all you need. So the first 10 hours, I would just focus on theory. Just read books, watch YouTube videos, buy courses if you want. That's not compulsory, but it does help. Just to absorb the basic foundational knowledge of it. Then next, after that, you just want to start doing the practical stuff. Hour 20 to 40, you want to combine practical with, and just refer to the theory, because if you read something once, if you watch something once, you won't fully pick it up. So this is where you kind of cross-reference. Like, let's say neuroscience, you learn about a concept and then you learn about a concept in a book, you implement it, and then you go back to the book afterwards to make sure that you did it right. And then after that, the next 60 hours would be mostly implementation. Let's just say 40%, 40 hours implementation, where you just expand, just try it out yourself. Just figure out the ins and outs of it. Because someone can tell you how to do something, but if you learn it, if you experience it yourself, it's a lot better. The last 20% is, now that you've got a decent base of it, you experiment, you try different things. Now that you learn the rules, you can kind of just break the rules a bit and then just see how things go. And yeah, that's pretty much how you learn a skill in 100 hours.
Interesting concept, because I think it was at a podcast or a YouTube short or so. There was this one, I don't know if it was a monk or a Kung Fu master, but he also said the same, that you just need 100 hours to truly be a master at something. So definitely a concept a lot of us can definitely replicate, because there are so many of us who are working a 9 to 5 and trying X, and we always think that, okay, I have to put in 10 hours a day for the next 30 days to truly achieve it. And seeing that it just takes 100 hours approximately is definitely relief relieving. Then the next lesson you said was being different. So how exactly would you say is the process of being different? Because I see a lot of people who are now brand strategists, because you are like the brand strategist. So how would you say is the journey of being unique?
To cut a long story short, look where other people aren't. Let's just take my storytelling journey as a whole. People think that I, invented this style of storytelling on X, when in reality, I kind of just took a mixture of Mr. Beast videos. I kind of stripped it down to principles, to like beats, and then I turned that into stories. I combined that with different books, for example, Story Worthy by Matthew Dix, I'm sure you know, or like The Science of Storytelling by Will Storr, as well as Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. I just read these and as well many other books I've read, like Harry Potter, like How to Train Your Dragon, Tintin, all these other different books. I've merged many different styles of stories to create my own. So
Mhm.
going back to your point, how to be unique. Everyone has their own unique foundation. Everyone has read different books, has seen the same books from different perspectives, even. Like we've all read Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson, but some of us take away like different points. I could really take away the section on storytelling. You could also take away the section on like the hero's journey, for example. From then, just now that you've got a base foundation, just honestly, just this is pretty intangible, but push the boundaries, push the rules a bit. Like everyone says, you need to do something this way. I'm being vague and broad because, every niche is different. Everyone says you need to do something this way. Just think like, why exactly do I need to do it this way? Why exactly, I'm just going to use my niche. Why exactly do I need to post platitudes? Why exactly do platitudes go viral? Why exactly do short forms do better than long forms? Why exactly does everyone post like, use the same bullet points even as minor as that, and then just experiment, break it, like try it out. If it flops, okay, no one's going to remember it. It's one post. If it does really well, then you're seen as a genius. So that's a win.
Other people are copying, so definitely something a lot of us have to do. It's amazing speaking to you. Now, the last one was working really hard. And now I want to see like the connection between the 100 hours and the working hard. So how would you combine them both?
Into a system,
Yes.
I would say it doesn't really conflict. When I say work really
Mhm.
hard, I just mean focus on one thing at a time. So the reason why I brought that up was because a few days ago, I was reading my diary from 2023. At this point, I had tried side hustles for like 4 years now, and I couldn't make something work. In my head, I was probably thinking, maybe it's saturated. Maybe drop shipping doesn't work. Maybe SMMA is a scam by Iman Gaji. Maybe, things like this. But then when I went back and read my diary again, like from my perspective now, I realized like I was caught up on so many different things. I was trying to learn how to play guitar. I was trying to hit a new record in Brawl Stars trophies. I was trying to like build a Minecraft YouTube channel. I was trying to like still work at a job. I was still trying to build on X, and I was still just trying to like catch up with friends and just have a social life. Okay, I'm not saying you can't have a social life, but the point is my focus was split across so many different ways that like there was no way I was able to build a business because I only had a certain amount of time dedicated to that. So one thing my dad actually said is that light is harmless, but if light is focused, it can cut through metal, as in lasers. So you want to focus your light, your energy onto whatever you do, and just go all in on that. Like I remember at one point, so many of my best tweets and ideas come either in the shower, on the toilet, or in bed, and that's just because like I've been thinking about it so much that like I don't want to get into like too woo-woo subconscious-y thing here, but there's some science behind it. If you think about it in your conscious mind and let it sit for a bit, your subconscious will take over, and then after that, it will just print ideas for you. A good book on this is You Were Born Rich by Bob Proctor. But yeah, we can discuss that another time. Honestly, my self-improvement tips are pretty similar to everyone else's. First
Mhm.
things first, there's this one book called The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. That was the first self-improvement book I read. It told me the benefits of waking up at 5 a.m. I think I read that 6 years ago. I've woken up at 5 a.m. 80% of the time since. Wake up at 5 a.m. and immediately go into what? I don't know if he came up with this concept, but Charlie Morgan calls this dopamine loading, where you put your hardest tasks, not, sorry, that's eat the frog, that too. You put
Mhm.
all your distractions and you put all your dopamine inducing tasks, like for example, scrolling using a phone at the end of the day. The first like 2-3 hours, you just sit down, lock in, deep work. Oh wow, it's a combination of multiple concepts. Deep work, where you just sit down and lock in, 5 a.m., waking up at 5 a.m., eating the frog, start with your hardest task first. So normally I've pumped out like 2 emails by 6 a.m. and like writing emails, because it's still something which takes me some time, it's the hardest task. So by 6 a.m., before anyone's already awake, I really feel like I've accomplished something today, and that gives me the motivation to keep going. And then after like 8, 9 o'clock, then I check my phone, I scroll, I play Brawl Stars, whatever.
I actually tried the same today, this morning. So I woke up at 5 a.m. after like 3 weeks, which was really refreshing. And honestly, getting into the habit is like one of the hardest things. And then after 3 or 4 days, it feels like, okay, I'm slowly getting there. And after that, it's just how long are you into this thing before you drop off? And for me, it's most likely like 2 or 3 weeks, and then I kind of drop off. But how would you say is the rebound effect? So let's just say I have 3 or 4 good weeks, and after that I have like 1 or 2 bad days. How would you say is like the rebound? How can I get back into the 5 a.m. to the eat the frog, into whatever these concepts are?
One thing you could do, the reason why you might be feeling that is because you don't see an end point, like you're just like, okay, I'm going to wake up at 5 forever. And that kind of sucks. So what I like to do currently, what I've been doing is across the last like 1 or 2 months, I've woken up at 5 a.m. from Monday to Friday. And then Saturday and Sunday I sleep in. So if let's say on Thursday I'm like, do I really want to get up at 5 or should I go to bed again? I'm like, oh, it's like 2 more days, 2 more days to the weekend. Then I can just wake up whenever I want. So that's just keeping the goal in mind, you always see the light at the end of the tunnel. So it makes you more likely to stick to your goals.
Okay, that's definitely good advice I will keep in mind. But now I want to shift the focus more from doing the stuff to what the stuff actually is, your business. So what would you say are your brand or business pillars?
So I suppose the one which I would be the most well known for, and actually funny enough, the one which I've gotten the most hate for, is content over comments. So I'm a brand strategist on X, and one of my biggest pillars is that most people spam comments too much. And I mean, because of that, they spend too much time posting and commenting and stuff like that. And as a result, they don't actually have time to think about writing better content, think about growing the business as a whole. They spend too much time on the business, but not enough time on the business. And short term, I mean, sure, you lose out a bit. I mean, you don't get your 100, 200 comments a day in, but long term, you do actually learn the principles of content. And these principles I've used to like blow up on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. It gives you a much broader picture as a whole. Then you're able to help other people. You're able to just have your message reach more people. And that's a win overall.
So you would say this is like your biggest pillar above them or above the rest? Would you say that there are like small other pillars that are holding it up?
I would say my entire system is built on the fact that content can be turned into clients if you know how. So this system I call story marketing, where you use timeless storytelling principles combined with modern marketing concepts, combine that together into integrate into your content, and it turns your brand into essentially a lead generating machine, just like that.
Amazing. I want to go over the process later on, but first let's talk a little bit more about content because, like you said, it's the thing you should focus on the most. So, what makes good content for you?
Content that other people look at and think, okay, I can benefit from this. Whether it's content that is valuable or content that's entertaining, either one works. As long as someone in the world can look at it and think, hey, I either gain something from this or I either enjoy reading this because it's entertaining, then that's good content.
Reminds me a little bit about Dan. I think he has a similar idea of content that it should either be entertaining or educating. And how can I write better content? So let's just say, or we will do a practice later on how to like have this business idea, etc., etc. But first of all, I want to talk about content specifically. So how can I turn the content I have now into better content or into the content you just described?
Step one, like I mentioned, content, in my opinion, is good if someone can look at it and find value or entertainment. So first, you need to know who exactly that someone is. Firstly, find out who your ideal client is. Once you have your ideal client, list out, okay, what does this person struggle with? Let's just say come up with a list of 5 things. And once you've listed out those 5 things, then whenever you're writing content, we might get into that later. Whenever you're writing content, about 50, 60% of it should be you take one of these pain points they have and just solve it. So what this does is the ideal reader has a dream, and they have a pain blocking them. So if you take the pain and you remove it, then they're like, oh, okay, that means you are someone who can solve your ideal client's pain. And then they want to learn more about you. And then they'll follow, they'll like, they'll comment, they'll engage, they'll become an ideal fan, they'll spend some money on you.
It's funny that because the concept you just said, or especially the last point, remind me a lot about Charlie Morgan. And I funnily followed him since he had like 20,000 followers. So I was one of the early ones. It was like in my full self-improvement phase where I just needed the information. But yeah, the concept in general reminds me a lot about what other people also said. But the third point, so 50 to 60% of the content should be solving the pain. How would you say does the content have to look like? Because in our last episode, when Michael was on the microphone, he said that you should focus more on the what and why behind your content and less about the how. How would you say is the process of the third point?
Pick up what Mike said. Focus on the what and why, but not the how. But not because, you want to gatekeep the how and only give it to people who pay you. Reason for that is it's because at the end of the day, if you give someone value, see it like a vending machine, okay? Like a vending machine giving out chocolates, like decent chocolates, like say 5 out of 10 chocolates. Everyone's going to come and take some. But then if all of a sudden you slap a price tag on it, make it $2, people are like, hey, you know what? I didn't actually need this in the first place. I'm not going to go to the vending machine anymore. So sure, you get a vending machine that gives free chocolate. When you give free chocolates, people come to you. When you slap a price on it, people leave. That's normally what happens when you give too much of the how. Meanwhile, if you give the what and why, specifically the why, you share why this works, how this can help them, and in their mind, it opens up a door to show them, okay, this is actually possible, and this is how this person has got me there. Give them a mindset shift, like shine a light, hold the hand down the path, like actually shine the light first. So they're like, oh, this path is possible. And then now that they know it's possible, then they'll go to you to help them solve it.
Definitely a concept I try my content lately. So since my call with Mike, I try to narrow my content down into more the what and why. And I still experiment a lot, but hopefully I will get there at some point. But the fourth point, so turning the pain or removing the pain to shine or to bring up the dream. So the process, I think, is a lot more complex than you describe it. So how would you say is the journey from taking a pain and at the end writing content about it?
Honestly, broad picture, your ideal client has a dream. Your ideal client has a pain. Your goal is to act as the bridge to get them from their dreams to their pains. So whenever you're writing such content, just think to yourself, does this help my ideal client get from their dreams to their pains? A good analogy, might be going off topic a bit, is when you're in a cinema, you always know where the exits are. You don't know how many seats there are here, because you always care about getting rid of pains. In case the cinema burns down, you need to know where the exits are. You don't care about anything else, aka how many seats there are. So same way, if your content doesn't answer pains, your audience will see your content as like cinema seat content, where they don't care about it. But if your content helps them get to their dreams, help them solve the pains, acts as the bridge, then the audience sees your content as cinema exit content, which in that case they'll always take note of it, and you'll be on their mind over and over again.
So this being on the mind, and this reminds me of the episode before Michael, where we had Tanya on the microphone. So how would you say can I be more memorable in someone's head? You said by shining the light to the dream and the process of removing the pain, but are there other points?
I'm going to loop it back to one of the first things I said. You need to give someone to remember you by. Like I mentioned, if you're just another, no offense, I was one too, Danco copycat, then you're just one of tens of thousands, So people don't have reasons to remember you, especially because, I mean, like everyone here has handsome looking faces, but everyone's profile photos, banners all look the same, At the end of the day, it's kind of just like a colorful mess. So you just got to find what makes you different, whether it's, I mean, for me, some things off the top of my head that made me different were using those arrow bullet points, even as something as small as that, or not capitalizing my posts at the start, or posting cat photos, or intentionally posting lower quality photos because it's a personal brand, stories even, or the whole cloud background, all these little things are things which help me stand out. Of course, I can't sit here and say like, oh, I planned this. I'm some crazy good mastermind. Some of this kind of just fell into place and I kind of just wrote off it. But find what makes you stand out, experiment until something pops out, something that feels like you, and then just roll with it.
So you mentioned one point that everyone in our space can agree with, and that's personal branding. So what would you say makes a good brand in 2025?
It's going to come down to these few pillars. One, a brand that can actually solve the ideal client's problems, because you can be the most personal, you can like share the most stories, you can be the most unique. But if you don't help anyone, no one's going to care. As much as it sucks, people are always looking for what's in it for me. Once again, either your content is valuable or your content is entertaining. Then two, you need to be unique, to share like what makes you different. Because no matter what niche you're in, there's already someone who's done it better, someone who's done it faster, someone who's done it cheaper. You just need to find a way that makes yourself unique. Thirdly, this doesn't quite count as a point, but I wanted to add it here. It's a personal brand, share your personality, be personal. If you tell stupid jokes, be like that here. A mistake many people make is that they're way too formal, but people don't like formal. People are here to escape formal, to escape corporate, People are here for personal. Just be yourself, share what you like. I talk a lot about, if you go to my media, like my media section on my profile, everyone's normally like, oh, it's a personal brand, but you need to be professional, because you want to be an authority, all that stuff. You go to my media, you see anime, you see Minecraft, you see cat. That's just who I am, and people like it. People buy into that. Many of my clients have cats. Many of my clients watch the same anime I do. Many of my clients like Minecraft. We play Minecraft together. Obviously not when we're supposed to be working, but you attract who you like, So put yourself out there and you attract people.
We definitely have to create a Minecraft server in our X space. It would be so amazing. Because I know a few people, including me, who also played it. Now I'm like not playing it anymore. But it's definitely the thing we have to like try out, experiment with. But yeah, personal branding. I think it was you or Esther who said that you should flirt in the comments. I don't know who it was. Was it you?
Okay, maybe she said it too, but I think I did it first. I was flirting with Kieran Drew and Aaron Will long before she hopped on it.
Amazing. So I would love to ask why exactly flirting?
Once again, it's the least corporate thing possible. It's something people don't expect. It's like, if you text someone on LinkedIn and you say, "Hey babe," people people aren't gonna expect that. Same thing here on X, you see. Especially, I think when I mentioned this, one of my points was flirt with big creators because they get hundreds of comments a day, and all of them are either AI comments, rephrasing their post, or like some random things about like, please follow. So they scroll through hundreds of those a day, and all of a sudden they see send feed pics, they're gonna click on that. They're gonna notice you instead of like the hundreds of others. And that gives you that gets your foot into the door, like that gets you seen by other creators. Obviously, once again, if this isn't you, don't do it. If you're someone who likes to be stoic, you're someone who likes to stick to the rules and chill, and then yeah, don't act as a character to do this. But if you're someone who just likes to have fun, you're someone who just like likes to mess around, feel free, Like everyone here is a person. Everyone here is just trying to make it. Everyone here is just trying to make connections, to make money, and just succeed. So it's okay. Just be real. We're all on the same team.
Funny answer. And this like foot in the door thing is really, really cool because I saw myself trying this since one of you two said it. And ever since I have like the biggest creators in our small space following me or engaging with me, is just because they see the person behind the brand. And I think that's really the thing a lot of us have to understand, that we are not the profile itself. We are rather the person behind the profile that people are following. So personal branding, I have one more question is, do you think that a personal brand is a requirement for business for now, so 2025 and into the future?
I would say yes. Reason for that is because everyone has a voice, or everyone should have a voice. Everyone should have the ability to speak their mind. And if you don't have a personal brand, you can't defend yourself. You can't like talk about other people. Okay, wait, no, I don't mean talk about other people like that. You can't. No one knows who you are. There's no digital footprint. If you have a personal brand, you're also able to just connect with people more. Like, at the end of the day, everyone wants to connect with other people. That's why Elon Musk's account gets more engagement than Tesla. That's why Sam Altman's account gets far more engagement than OpenAI. That's why Jeff Bezos' account gets far more engagement than Amazon. People want connections, people want personal brands. And also, at the end of the day, people want to see the person in all this. That's why we build personal brands. That's why people like, yeah, once again, Sam Altman, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, all these celebrities. That's why they do like tours, that's why they go on shows. That's why they have like little interviews, because they want people to know them. That's just good for publicity. I'm not really into the media world, but there must be a reason behind this. And personal brand is the way.
Definitely something I try a lot. And I listened to a podcast the other day. I don't know the name of the guy, but he talked about the 7-11 4 rule. You maybe know it, that you should post 7 hours of content or 11 hours of content on 4 different platforms. And or talking about 7 different topics, but either way, I think that, or I agree on that. I think that personal branding is like the way forward, because in a world where AI takes over, in a world where big corporations try to put their foot in every door, I think that having a person behind a brand, having a person behind a product is always something that gives us humanity in this whole thing. And I think that this is missing a lot in our space, in our X space, but a lot more in business in general. So I would agree on that. I think that personal branding is and will be the future. But now I want to talk more about experimenting. We talked about it a lot in this talk, starting off with your journey from a Minecraft server to now. So how much experimenting do I need to truly succeed?
Okay, I would say that doesn't have a specific formula. The way I see it, it's like, I don't like the gambling implications of this example, but think of it like lottery, like buying a lottery ticket. Every time you experiment, it's like buying one lottery ticket. Sure, you could buy one, and still get lucky. You could buy 100,000 and just not get lucky. But all I know is that the more lottery tickets you buy, the higher the chances of you winning. So buy more lottery tickets.
So trying out a lot of business model to finally find the one that fits to me?
There
Or
is
is it like,
There is that, but there's also the element of you don't want to jump business models because you try it for 1 week and it didn't
Mhm.
work. You actually have to give it a fair shot. You got to fully scratch off the lottery ticket to make sure the numbers aren't the winning numbers. You can't just look at it and be like, I don't think this is for me, and then put it away. That could be the winning one. I believe that every quote unquote lottery ticket, every online business is a winning online business. You just have to stick at it long enough.
So would you say is there a smart way of experimenting?
80/20 rule works great here. Like 80% of your content is normal, proven, quote unquote, content. I guess playing along more with the lottery ticket analogy, you get your salary for the month. You can't just blow it all on lottery tickets. Sure, you might win big, but there's a high chance you might not. You got to buy your groceries, you got to pay your rent, you got to feed your kids, feed your family. And then after that, with your remaining like 20%, then you can go splurge on lottery tickets. My gosh, I'm actually
Hmm.
promoting gambling here. I'm actually promoting gambling. Don't gamble. This is just an analogy.
That's just an analogy, once again. So yeah, the 80/20 rule can be applied to so many things in business, and I think it's a little bit, yeah, in an inflation because everyone is using it in so many different ways. But I think that's the power of this rule in general. Yeah. Are there like other stuffs you would apply this 80/20 rule in business to?
In business or X specifically?
That's a good question. Maybe in both.
So I guess just getting a bit more self-improvement-y in business. I mean, you can't win all 100% of days. I just try to win 80%. Like the second half of last week, I woke up and just played Minecraft, which is fine. It's perfectly fine. As long as you win 80% of the days, as long as you make forward progress, don't beat yourself up over the last 20%. That's perfectly fine. You can't also have wins over wins over wins. You can't expect every month to be the next best month, every month to like grow more than you did before. Once again, it's just like maybe not even 80, like say 60% of months you have a great month, and then the rest is just like slightly worse. And that's okay because just like stocks, overall, as you stretch it out, you're growing, and that's fine. But regarding X though, I would say, okay, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but 80% of it should be relate to your ideal client, should help them get to their goals. 20% just have fun. Like I posted a picture of myself just cycling a marathon that did like a good amount of views because it was fun, it was personal, people liked it. You don't always have to stick to like be a brand, focus on like putting out content that helps my ideal client. At the end of the day, it's personal, it's Twitter, just have fun, like post whatever you want. And yeah, this is how you maintain overall 80/20 rule in
Hmm.
business and X.
Good things to remember. And you talked a little bit about the creator journey, so that you should aim for like 80% days. So how would you say does this creator journey in general look like?
You're talking
From the
about
beginning to maybe where you're at right now, and maybe even higher, like the dance or the people a step ahead? Or let's just cap it to where you're at right now. So
you're
how would you
talking
say does this journey look
like day to day or like phase by phase?
like? Phase by phase.
Okay, let me know if this answer is not what you expected. But okay, like on X or business in general?
Let's just focus on X because a lot of listeners will be on X.
Well, I mean, I guess how to grow an X account then. At the start, one thing I like to do is just lock in your niche. You can always change your niche. I've changed my niche like 3 times to get here. Okay, 2 times. This is my third niche. Yeah. Then the next thing to do would be to find 3 to 5 people who you just genuinely vibe with. Hop on calls with these guys, share resources. Once again, this is something Mr. Beast taught me. He said that he and 3 other friends used to just FaceTime each other every day, break down YouTube, and now they all have like 10 million subscribers. He said it, not me. So yeah, find your own group of like-minded people, share everything with them, they'll share everything with you. If you have 4 people, learning becomes 4 times faster. It's a win-win for everyone because you're able to share mistakes. And then after that, focus on, honestly, at the start, I recommend focusing on like more personality related content. If you're getting specific, like stories, like just things about yourself. The goal here is to build trust, because once you build trust, then we can move on to the next stage, which would be building authority, this is where you go a bit more on into like helping your ideal clients solve their pain points. And because you help them solve the pain points, you're giving them value. They're going to follow you also. This will help you grow even faster. Then once you hit, at this point, you're at like 1,000 followers. Then after this, you start sharing, you kind of just, it sounds a bit narcissistic, but you're like a big creator at this point. So you start sharing a bit more processes behind the scenes, plans for the future, things you like about the niche, things you don't like about the niche, thoughts on niche in general. And that's where I am. So yeah.
I think a lot of listeners, including me, I would say, at this trust phase. How would you say, can I build more trust? You said, okay, defining the pain point, but are there a lot more stuff to it?
Tell stories.
You don't want to expand this a little bit?
Well, like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, I blew up because of a love story. So that worked for multiple reasons, but down to these two. One, it was new, but we touched on that already. Two, because it was personal. It showed readers who I was, like me as a person, and people connected with that. I hit an emotional pain point which everyone understood, everyone related to, and therefore people trusted me more. So yeah, I used to spam these like 2 or 3 times a week about common topics, common problems people have. If you go to my highlights, you scroll all the way down to about 15 months ago, like February to about April, May, you can get a lot of these. Yeah, you just see how I'm able to just share, be myself, and talk about common problems which people have. And everyone related to that. So that slowly just built trust in me. And then after that, when I was able to switch to more of like authoritative posting, I really had like the trust foundation. Shout out to the guys who've supported me since then. Yeah, it just made the rest of the process much easier.
I think a lot of creators, including me, can really double down on that and what you just said, because trust is like one of the things in every episode we covered it, and it's always like the similar thing that you should be personal, that you should show the person behind the brand. So I think that once again, this is a reminder that how important this personal stuff behind the brand is. So yeah,
Can I add on one more point?
of course.
So I do feel like there's been a shift in the creator economy, or there is a shift happening. So previously we were used to spectacle, Mr. Beast, $1 hotel room versus $5 bazillion hotel room, or like doing like the world's wildest stunts and all that stuff. And hey, while that is impressive, I do feel like people are getting a tiny bit numb to that. Like, when was the last time you said, oh, I hit 10K a month, and you're just like, okay, another one, like who cares at this point? People are shifting more towards from spectacle to story. People want to connect with people. This is why there are many YouTubers that are doing really well right now. Not just YouTubers, creators who aren't spamming like flashy spectacles. They're just going like a more story based. Like right off the top of my head, I'm thinking of people like Ryan Trahan. Right now, he has a 50-day series going on where he just drives in a van across states with his wife, and that series has garnered like 120 million views on YouTube. Or like Life of Riza, or like even some of those videos where people just sit down and talk, like Hamza's videos where he doesn't have any fancy editing or whatever. He just sits down and yaps, and people connect with him more to stories rather than spectacles.
I definitely agree, and I saw a lot of it on YouTube lately that random YouTubers who I never heard about just get 200,000 million views just talking about a topic that's really personal to them. And one of them really caught me, and that's why I like bought this iPod. It was all about how music and the algorithm behind them on apps like Spotify and Apple Music destroys your brain, and it caught me. The whole story behind it caught me, and ever since I only listen music on that, or not only, I would say like 80% of the time I listen on that, and this just shows that stories are really the thing that moves this whole economy forward. And stories in general, I think that at the beginning time of YouTube around 2010, I was like 5 back then, but now rewatching the things remind me a lot about what you said right now, that people are just putting on the camera and just start yapping, just start creating cool stuff around their life. And it's amazing to see that we are slowly shifting back to that, because I think this was the golden time of internet business or internet life, where you just share your life, where you share your stories. Amazing. Now I want to do a little bit more of a creative thing before we go over to the practical stuff.
Okay.
And this is the first time I'm trying it out. So let's see. Okay, it's working. Can you see my screen?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Wait. Okay. So you can see everything, right?
Yeah.
So I know you're a big Pokemon fan, so I created something special for you. So instead of who is that Pokemon, we are doing who is this creator. So this is the first one. Who do you think it is?
Well, the mic kind of gives it away. This is Julian Sad.
Right. I wish I put like an image of them next to it, but I can do it in the edit, I think. But if I
works.
can't, yes, that's Julian. The next one, you probably know the person.
That's Esther, isn't it?
That's right again. Who is this?
That's Mike.
Okay. Okay, this is a bit of a hard one, I
Tanya.
think. And the last one,
Dan West.
amazing. 10 out of 10.
It just so happened. every single one of these people, okay, four of these people I've been in contact with today. So I kind of accidentally cheated. Does that count?
You did 10, you did 5 out of 5, so I guess you passed the test. You passed
That
the
was fun.
creator test.
I love that. That was
And
cool.
yeah, I'm just trying out this like my creative playground. I said it in the second episode that I want to include this creative stuff over and over. And I think that for the next time, maybe we're doing a second episode in the future, I will try to find harder creators.
Here's the thing, you see, this is what I mentioned just now about experimenting. I don't know what the audience thinks listening to that, but so far that was my favorite part of the podcast.
I can imagine, yes, this creative stuff. I think that creativity as a whole is so missing in our economy right now because we are so focused on just making money, and this whole creative stuff, this whole personal stuff behind it kind of gets drained away. And I think that's, yeah, sad to see. And I'm also thankful that we are slowly moving towards creativity.
If I may add on, actually, just now I very briefly touched upon this, where you look where other people aren't looking. So one idea you could do, please don't feel free, no, feel free to like reject this if you don't like it, but you could take ideas from like talk shows. You know, James Corden does similar things with his guests. Like they have like a split or steal, or they have like guess something. Like I've seen a bunch of these talk shows with all these famous people, and they really like it. That's why Jimmy Fallon is loved by all his guests, because he actually makes the guests uh enjoy themselves. So maybe if you want, you could go check out Jimmy Fallon, check out the games he plays, and see how you can adapt that here. Yeah. If it worked for him, it's bound to work for you. And people are going to see you as a genius unless they watch this, because they're going to think that you came up with all of it and adapted it to X. Yeah, it's gonna add such an element of creativity to the show.
Amazing. Thanks for the advice. Definitely will watch a lot more talk shows then. But now I want to do a little bit of a practice. So we went over this trust, authority, and process, and behind the scene, how to say it, process. So let's just say I'm a totally fresh creator. Maybe let's just say I have around 300 followers and I already doubled down on my niche. How would you say is the process towards being at this last phase where you are? I wouldn't say last phase, but the phase where you are. So can you like guide me through it with questions, and how would you say the process looks like?
Okay, step one, buy Creator Launchpad. Okay, I'm kidding. I go way more in depth into everything there. I think by the time this is out, like the product will be closed. It's like 30 hours until the link expires. But besides that, let's see. First things first, you already know your niche. You already know who your ideal client is. You already know what they're struggling with.
Yes.
And in this case,
So
I would
maybe I
recommend,
should say
yeah,
it. So
why
for
not?
me personally, it's I want to help executives and coaches beat their phone addiction, but not with the usual method. Instead, with deeper solutions like dopamine and self-alignment.
Okay, and what makes your solutions better than others?
My solutions go deeper than the usual turn off notifications, turn on grayscale, I don't know, put your phone in another room. These are surface level advice, but my advice covers more the inner thing. So the inner world of the person gets detoxified by this whole distraction.
Okay, so here's the thing. You see, this is your unique mechanism. This is what makes you better, quote unquote, than everyone else in the niche. So you need to stress this a lot more. Just like how I talk about, this is what I call the broad market unique angle concept. So everyone has a broad market and a unique angle, or everyone should have a broad market unique angle. Broad market is the niche. For you, it's beating phone addiction. For me, it's growing on X. And then the unique angle is your unique approach to that niche. For me, it's story marketing, storytelling. For you would be that, let's just say, like starting from starting with inner work, rather than like cheap phone tricks. So your job is to convince everyone in your broad market, your niche, why your unique angle is better than everyone else's. So in this case, it could be posts about, hey, you see, everyone else doesn't quite get how to beat phone addiction, because you've tried putting your phone somewhere else. You've tried locking your phone. You've tried like paying people $20 every time you touch your phone, but it's not working, right? Because at the end of the day, this only solves the outer issue. You need to solve what happens inside you first. You solve the core problem, and then after that, phone addiction is going to be easy. You won't even need to try, you just get over it like that. Like posts like this, over time, people start to realize like, hey, okay, yeah, that's true, because I have tried locking my phone up. I've tried like giving my phone to other people. I've tried using a Nokia. I've tried using Grayscale. I've tried using OneSec and all these other apps. It's not working. Then this is that mindset shift, which I was telling you beforehand, giving the what and why. You're telling them reason why you aren't curing phone addiction is because you aren't focusing on the inner. So that's like and you explain why it's important, because the you need to focus on the inner because you need to change your identity. You need to be someone who doesn't touch their phone rather than do not touch your phone.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, you just explain why it's better. And you can also just give, say, like general tips, like say, here's how your phone addiction can drop to like from 10 hours to 3 hours a day. And you could also share your story. Like, I know I'm the story guy when I'm saying this, but you really need to, your story is one of your most powerful assets. You say like, hey, I used to be on my phone for 10 hours. Now I'm on my phone for 3. Because one, that builds trust, that builds authority. People see, okay, this guy was where I'm stuck at and he is where I want to be. So I need to follow him. I need to see his method and I'll get to where he is. So yeah, you just share like what makes your method better, what makes your unique angle better, and you just continue moving people towards the stage of, hey, this guy can help me. And then at this
Mm-hmm.
point, you should already have a bunch of people who believe in your method. At this point, it's about time to launch a first offer. Honestly, you could do this from the start, but for narrative purposes, let's do it now. So you put
Mm-hmm.
out an offer and just say like, hey, you see, I've helped entrepreneurs, I've helped myself cure phone addiction, drop it from 10 hours to 3 hours using my inner work process, you see. And yeah, I'm going to open my inner work mentorship now, where in 30 days, I give you exact steps. I am like by your side, walking through exactly how to cure a phone addiction using inner work once again. And then you just talk about why inner work is better once again. I don't know if you've seen my launches where I talk about, hey, you see, this is why stories are better. This is why this, like, we're in a trust economy. You need to tell stories because authority doesn't work anymore, all this stuff. This is what I'm doing. I'm sharing why my method is better. And then long story short, keep doing this in multiple different ways. Like since you're doing done with you, like you're helping them, you could do a one-on-one mentorship. Once that works out, you figure out what exactly helps clients. You could open up a cohort even. You could open up a cohort where like you take 5 people in at once. You charge less, but then you charge less, but then you also like give them less help. Like instead of one-on-one calls, it's every week a group coaching call, where you walk through the action steps and then, hey, do you guys do all these action steps? Great. Here's the next action steps. And then you could also launch a product, a do-it-yourself product, kind of like create a launchpad where you just put all your systems into like a 30-day plan. I know, I don't know if you know Brandon's story. Great guy. He has a course called 30-Day Copywriter, which is a perfect example of this. He teaches copywriting and he just walks through exactly day 1, do this, day 2, do this, day 3, do this. That's something you could do too. And you could also do workshops, where instead of sharing your entire inner work system, you could just share how to like the science behind cutting down your phone addiction. And then like say like $40 per workshop ticket, you get in like 10 people, that's $400. You upsell them to any one of the offers you mentioned above, like a product, bootcamp, like a cohort, like a one-on-one. And yeah, it's $40 per ticket. Even if you don't sell anything, that's $400. If you plug at the end, you could make like $2,000-$3,000 of it reoccurring. Then yeah, at this point, you run all these offers at once within, if done right, you'll be at 5, 6, 7, 10K. That's about where I'm at. I'm a little higher, so I can't speak of like what happens after that,
Mm-hmm.
scaling with ads, whatever, or like agency models, if this is possible. But yeah, that's how I go from about 300 followers with your niche to done with you hitting about 10K a month.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this would be like the process for me, but I think that phone addiction is like one of the things a lot of people can relate to and maybe even copy it for themselves. But I have one more question. It would be like the one-on-one. So you should first start off with one-on-one things. So I'm doing that right now. I have 3 clients, or what I'm working with, and 2 on the line. So how would you say is the transition from that to what you said is like a group coaching thing? So how would you say is the process between both of them? Because one, it's like the first dollar you're making because you're doing it in a group and you're making your first like offer and put a price tag on it. So I think that a lot of us are struggling to put this free thing to a paid thing. How would you say is the process? Just really briefly.
Are you talking about going from free to paid or talking from going to one-on-ones to group?
That's the hard thing. I would say from free to paid because this is the first time you put a price tag on yourself.
Might be a little controversial because everyone in this economy seems to be like, start high, charge high, all that stuff. I'm pretty introverted. This was like the first online business model that actually worked. So I honestly would just say start low. Just price yourself low and then ask a bunch of people, hey, is this something you would pay for? And then if they say yes, there you go. That's Wi-Fi money. If they say no, ask them why not. Is it a price issue? Is it a time issue? Is it a money issue? This allows you to find out like the exact objection. Let's say you ask 10 people and 9 of them say it's a price issue. Then you should probably just either drop your price or add more to it. If they say it's a time issue, then okay, maybe instead of spending 3 hours a day, 30 days with them, you drop it to 30 minutes a day. And yeah, eventually you get one client, and you just repeat the process. And then once you get some testimonials, just slowly raise your prices over time. And yeah, there you go. That's some high ticket paying clients. So I actually did this process with my brother, funny enough. So he hopped into X, and he's also into social media beforehand. So we just started with low prices and we worked our way up. Within 2 weeks, I think he was charging $100 for a call, $100 for a single call. And within 3 months, no, less than 3 months, he had hit $3,000 a month in, if I recall, 53 days.
Amazing. Very, very cool story. And I think that you should share more about it on X. But now let's talk about the elephant in the room, Creator Launchpad. Let's first of all start with the what. What is Creator Launchpad?
Creator Launchpad is the only product you need to grow and monetize your brand on X and land your next 3 to 5 clients. Land your first 3 to 5 clients. So the reason why I created Creator Launchpad is because when I came on X, I took a bunch of courses. I took High Impact Writing by Kieran Drew, took 2-Hour Writer by Dan Ko, took a Digital Economics by Dan Ko, both bachelor's and master's. I took like a bunch of courses, mental monetization, profit operator. I took quite a lot of them. Sure, they were good, but like, let me reiterate, they were good. Like whatever they promised, they hit and more. Like all of them were fantastic courses, but they didn't teach everything, So I was kind of left with like fragments of the full picture. And let's say 2-Hour Writer was a writing course, great, but then I didn't know sales. Or like if I got sales calls, okay, cool, but then I still don't get content, So I thought, okay, what if I made a product that did everything? So Creator Launchpad. The whole goal of this product is to give you literally every single skill you need, from growing on X to marketing to pulling off like launches that bring you 3 to 5K every single month, to emails, to branding, positioning yourself as unique, storytelling, content, how to build in public, how to market yourself, how to be an authority, how to find your niche, how to figure out if your niche is good. And yeah, basically everything I would need if I was just starting again. Creator Launchpad's there.
So why do you think it's the ultimate product for creators or beginner creators or also advanced creators? So why do you think it's the ultimate product?
Okay, I wouldn't really say it's the product for advanced creators, but it's the product for beginner and mid-level creators for 2 reasons. One, I don't teach just like hacks. I do teach a lot of hacks, but I also teach the principles, the systems, the theory, because I don't want you to just, okay, Ben says if a post has 5 lines, it does better. And if the third line is longer, it does better. This is not true. I'm making things up. I don't want things like that. I also want you to be able to, let's say if you don't want to go on X anymore, you want to hop to LinkedIn or YouTube, you're still able to take those principles and start again. Or if you want to change your niche, you're still able to take those principles, start again. And secondly, I might screw myself over for this, but I've committed to constantly updating this product. As of now, we're wrapping up the launch of Creator Launchpad 2.0. I mean, the whole fact that it's a 2.0, version 1.0, when I launched it in April, it had 67 modules. It had 7 hours of video lessons. By the way, I've recorded them in video also, as well as audio. I mean, as well as text, so you can read, or you can watch while you're driving, or you can do whatever you want. Go for a walk, listen to me, have me in your head for 7 hours, up to you. Yeah, now version 2, we're at 94 modules, 8 hours of video content, and lots of bonuses. Like at this point, I even custom coded a bot which is trained on like psychology and like my viral posts. So you just type in a rough draft and there we go. That's a post for you in 2 minutes. Yeah, like I mentioned, my goal with this is genuinely for this to be the only product you need. And I think now that V2 is like wrapping up, I can still see some things which I want to add. But even in the first launch, out of 56 people that grabbed it, 26 of them left testimonials. I'd say that's something. Like, since when have you had like such a high hit rate for a course? And I didn't pay them to leave testimonials. That says something, because sure, if I make money from it, good. But if other people make money from it as well as me, that's the point.
I think that especially bot thing is like, I'm like a computer scientist, so I can agree that some of the stuff is really hard to program, and chapeau. Now I want to go more in the how. So you said you took all these courses, 2-Hour Writer, Digital Economics, copyright, I think. So how did the process of taking all of this knowledge and then packaging it with your experience or without your experience into just one product?
Honestly, it's not anything like two-hour writer, digital
Mm-hmm.
economics, or the others. That's like Dan Coe's worldview. That's Kieran Drew's worldview. That's whoever else I bought from. Mine was, yeah, that's the product, trust building phase, authority building phase, and monetization and scaling phase. So you get basically one of my friends who got the product, he said it's like getting my brain as a like
Okay. So definitely interesting program or course, or generally a product on its own because it has an AI in it now. So it's very cool. And I think that a lot of creators need exactly what you said right now. The phases you just went through and just going through them through your lens. And I think that since you're one of the most successful in our niche and like someone, I think it was one of your videos or testimonials, or not really testimonials, but rather comments. It was Dakota who said that you were one of the biggest creators. So I think that's another reason why I think that creator launchpad is such a big thing because you're learning from someone who is as big as you. But now in the last phase, I want to go a little bit more about,
Can I
of
bring up
course,
one last thing I want
yes,
to another reason why I made Career Launchpad is because, okay, I'll stop shilling the product in a bit, but all the other products and courses are made by people like 10, 20 steps ahead. At the start of last year, I had 300 followers. I'm not that far ahead. The tactics still work. I work with people at 50, 80, 300, 1,000, 2,000, like even like 50,000 followers. So it's not like, oh, I'm a big creator with 2,000, 200,000 followers reminiscing on what happened last time and trying to piece together something. This is tactics and strategies I still use. And also, since I'm talking about this, Dakota is such a great guy. Like, you see him as a big creator, but he's such a amazing person. Like, he's so genuine. He like everything you think he is, positive he is. Like, great guy. I would recommend hitting him up, following him, whatever.
it's definitely one of the creators I also follow, and hopefully one of the creators I interview in the future. There's like nothing planned, and maybe one day. So my biggest goal is to one day interview Stephen Bartlett. This is like my end goal. But of course, there has to be like few people in between, like Dan. This would be like very, very huge for me. But that's all future talking. And I first have to go through the phases of creators, start with big creators in our niche, then going higher to people like Dakota.
Have you seen this YouTube channel named Sticks?
Mm-mm.
So there are these two filmmaker brothers, and their goal is to produce a movie for Mr. Beast. So what they've done is they've made trailers of other YouTubers. Like, say, if Arak's life was a trailer, if Ryan Trahan's life was a movie. Sorry, yeah. So they make these little trailers of these famous YouTubers, and then they invite them to go see the movie. And then they're just slowly working their way up. And now they're like meeting Mr. Beast and meeting his friends and all that stuff. And they're just building in public the entire way, the entire journey of going from nobody to making a movie about Mr. Beast. And it's really entertaining.
I will definitely check them out because I think I can learn a lot from that. And it's funny that I had a few calls. So since December, I had a lot of calls with creators in our space. And always when I talk to these people, they said, okay, I was once on a call with Dakota. I was once on a call with Dan. And then I'm always there like, okay, I'm like 2 handshakes away from Dan or 2 handshakes away from Dakota. So definitely future goals, but first let's focus on the right here, right now. And there I want to ask you who your mentors are, because you first talked about your parents as one of the biggest inspiration in your journey, I think. So can you tell me more about them as a person and how they or what they teach you that you pursued this journey?
I would say the main thing I learned from them is that they were just good examples to me. I mean, not just good examples. They were good examples to me. And the main thing they gave me was, funny enough, they gave me insight. They showed me the what and why, but not the how. My dad was, I was born let me see, how much do I want to say here? I was born in a family that was not rich. And then from when I was born all the way to when I was a teenager, my dad broke out of the not rich zone and became slightly better off than normal. This showed me that, hey, it's possible. So from the age of like 12, 13, I knew in my mind, like, anyone can become rich if they try hard enough, because that's what I saw my dad do. So with that mindset alone, all of a sudden I was like, okay, I can do whatever the heck I want. And yeah, So with that, I was able to try multiple side hustles. Like I said, I stuck to YouTube for 3 years and I didn't make anything. I don't think many people would have been able to do that. Once again, not because of me or because I'm disciplined, but because I saw that it's possible. I knew that if I kept sticking through this, if I kept trying hard, this would eventually work because it worked before for people I knew. Yeah, that's the main takeaway.
That funnily, this reminds me of Inception, getting the idea in your head early on and growing the idea. And I think that's really important, especially in something that's kind of new. So I would say that your parents, since they followed the people who started this whole movement of, I wouldn't say self-improvement, but rather online business, I think that getting this idea early on helps you like grow this mindset, grow this whole idea of, okay, it's possible. And I think that I was a little bit late. I was a little bit late, maybe around 15 or 16. I started watching shorts, and I wouldn't say that that was truly helpful or disadvantage at the same time. It was both. So yeah, overall, definitely very cool that you got this idea very early on, but who would you say are other mentors or people you look up to?
A lot of them are people who not many might have heard of. Like I take a lot of inspiration from Ryan Trahan, Mr. Beast, Colin and Samir, from books such as Storyworthy, such as Fanatical Prospecting, such as Deep Work, 48 Laws of Power. Currently I'm reading copywriting books, so I can't tell you how they are going yet. As well as, yeah, honestly, these aren't really mentors, but I watch a lot of TV shows and just translate things into X. Like I've started watching Friends recently, like the show with the most popular sitcom in the world, and it's given me so many content ideas which I'll be putting into, which you'll see soon. So
That's
no particular mentors, I just take from everywhere.
okay, that's good to know because I don't know who it was. I think it was Andrew Huberman who said you should do the craft of creating as far away from the source or the place you distribute it as possible. So yesterday I was on a live from Dan West, and at the end he said, okay, now I will go to bed, but before that I want to read Dune by Frank Herbert to just get crazy ideas. And now you said that you watch Friends and get ideas from that. So I think that creativity or building a brand happens more outside of X than on X itself. And I think that a lot of us have to truly understand that X isn't someone's life. For you, it's probably not your life, but you are so big on it and you are so successful on it that it seems like, okay, you are on it 24/7, while in reality, you're probably just a few hours on it. So a lot of lessons. But you talked a lot about books, and in this call, you probably mentioned like 20 or so. So I don't really know if any reader or any listener would go and buy all the books. If you do that, respect. But what would be 3 books maybe that helped you a lot on your journey?
Firstly, I would say the 5 a.m. Club. This one is one which not many people have heard of, but it's the one that got me started on self-improvement as a whole and just bettering myself. Secondly would be How to Win Friends and Influence People. And okay, now this is interesting because I know I talked a lot about Storyworthy and stories, but I'm actually gonna say Psycho-Cybernetics here by Maxwell Maltz. It's a very self-improvement book, but if you're able to master the concepts in there, I'm not saying I have, but I've understood them a bit more and I've been able to apply them. Honestly, like your life will change. It's insane. Yeah, these are my 3: How to Win Friends and Influence People, 5 a.m. Club, and Psycho-Cybernetics.
Okay. The good thing is I think I have 2 of them already. So we'll definitely dig deep into them. The thing is, everywhere I look, I see books. Like on my table is Alex Hormozy, $100 million offer. Then there are the books I already read, and there are the books set on the shelf, and there's the book I'm currently reading.
Love it.
Yeah, hopefully I can read a lot more. I definitely set it as my goal for the rest of the year to definitely read a lot more. And I think that since you talked about so many books, you probably read them all. Of course, you read them all. But I think that reading and getting ideas from books in general is one thing a lot of ex-creators and creators in general can replicate.
Honestly, yeah, dude. Hey, fun fact, I used to be a book review account on X. Like that was my whole niche. Scroll back far enough, you'll find it.
I think that this is a good way to end because now I would just ask you how this journey looked like, but I think that's a topic for the next episode, hopefully sometime in the future. But thank you, Ben, for being such an amazing guest, for answering all the questions with, such honesty, and that's honestly amazing. Thank you. And are there any last words?
I mean, Abby's doing a great job with this podcast, so if you're seeing this on Twitter, go follow him. I'm probably tagged there too, so follow me too. Why not? If you're seeing this on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment something. Thanks so much for having me. It was an honor.
Thank you.